Welcome to another episode of Have a Cigar. I am your host, Wild Will. I sit here and I enjoy a Rocky Patel vintage 1999 Connecticut, thanks to my wife. Today's episode will be a departure from the boat build, but don't worry, I'll get right back to that in the next video. Today I have something that is very near and dear to my heart that I wish to share with you. I currently live in Massachusetts, but for the longest time I lived in New Hampshire. One story I heard about and became fascinated with was that of the 724 Cigar Company. It would become a major player in the cigar industry for almost 100 years. Incidentally, the name is not written as one might expect, 724. No, or even 7-24. What are you, crazy? Of course it's not. No, it's written 7-20-4. The company was founded in 1874 by R.G. Sullivan. The fun story behind the name 724, which is probably only urban legend, is that 724 Cigars was so named because R.G. got his start in business with winnings from a lottery ticket with the numbers 7, 20, and 4. The truth behind this tale will never be known, and most likely it was named after the company's address, 724 Elm Street, Manchester, New Hampshire. The company's first name was New Gold Dust Cigars, with the first offering being the Gold Dust. 10-cent cigars were R.G. Sullivan's claim to fame. He was the original purveyor of 10-cent cigars. Later, R.G. would change the name to 724 when he built his new factory. The cigars were handmade with Cuban tobacco fillers and Sumatra wrappers. The brand was so successful that Sullivan's factory became one of the world's largest manufacturers of handmade cigars, producing up to 12 million hand-rolled cigars a year, plus many factory machine-rolled cigars. To this day, it is still regarded as one of the largest cigar manufacturers in U.S. history. Roger G. Sullivan was born in 1841 in Bradford, New Hampshire. Outside of a 3-year apprenticeship for carriage building in Amesbury, Mass., he lived all his life in New Hampshire, attending school in Manchester and eschewing the well-known colleges and universities in Boston. In 1873, at the age of 19, he went into business as a cigar manufacturer, the aforementioned Gold Dust Cigar Company. By 1889, 724 Cigars had come to be, and R.G. built his first factory. In 1892, Sullivan built a new spectacular residence on Walnut Street in Manchester. By 1909, his factory employed 400 people, producing the aforementioned 12 million cigars a year. Unfortunately, Sullivan would not live to enjoy his creation for long. Today, the house still stands and looks as good as the day it was built, but in 1918, at age 64, R.G. passed away. But he left a thriving business that would last for many years. Back in the early part of the 20th century, exaggeration in advertising was not only not illegal, but it was entirely expected. The ad says that in 1924 the company produced 80 million cigars. That is hearsay and advertising folly. The company would continue to thrive for another 30 years, surviving world wars, depression, and even a fire in the factory in 1947. Unfortunately, the advent of communism would prove to be the downfall of the 724 Cigar Company. According to a Portsmouth Herald report in 1961, the Castro regime had made it increasingly difficult for 724 Cigars to secure Havana tobacco. The 7-story 724 building was closed, sold a couple times, converted to office space, yet still stands at 175 Canal Street in Manchester. On a personal note, my first wife worked in one of the offices of that building. When something of size was dropped or fell on the floor above her, there was construction going on for a while, so this did happen. Flakes of tobacco still fell from between the floorboards. Yet the story does not end there. In 2006, a New Hampshire cigar retailer, Kurt Kendall, decided to revive the brand as an homage to the past. Kurt owns 2 retail outlets called Twin Smoke Shops. His stores have a plethora of vintage cigar memorabilia, and Kurt has always had a fondness for vintage cigar artifacts and cigar history. Now, 724 Cigars are known as one of the best boutique brands around. About 15 years ago, I personally met Kurt, and he could not have been a nicer guy. He had only recently started the 724 brand, and it gave me one to try. I fell in love immediately, and now they're one of my favorite smokes. I don't get to Twins often enough, but always have a good time when I do. I really wish I was having a 724 tonight, but I don't have any with me, so let me just say, if you like cigars and you have never tried a 724, trust me, they are awesome, and I highly suggest that you get 1, 2, 3, or a whole box. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment, and remember, light them if you got them.